So today we will be talking about the importance of nomination. And a lot of people ask me, right, like, wow, nomination so mafan, I must bring two friends on board to, witness, and they cannot be blood related to me, or at least they cannot be beneficiaries of my insurance policies. So, why nominate and why go through all this trouble? So why then, we do insurance nominations, right? The same thing as why we do our CPF nomination. So one thing is that it shortens the time of payouts to us. So the thing here is that, you see, if you, somehow met into an accident and somehow, left this place on earth, then this money, how will it be handled if without nominations? So if without nominations, your insurance payout will be placed into your estate, all right, and then distributed across either through a will or through intestacy, right? So it's a very, very long and tedious process, all right? You need to wait for the executor to really gather all the assets and then distribute to your family members. But what if in the case that your family members need that money ASAP? Or if there's a debt that you must pay with that amount, then how? Right? So through nomination, it releases the money to you very, very quickly upon the death cert, 14 days, and you will receive your money without fail. Right? So it bypasses your will or your intestacy. Right? This gives you really a lot of liquidity very, very fast, and you are able to have that money on hand. All right. And of course, this is the same time that it is a time that you can actually take to tell your friends that, yes, I am protected. I have insurance as well. All right. So what this means is that, you tell your friends that, okay, I have this plan, let's say under Elijah, for example, and should anything happen to you, all right, your FC will know because your friends can inform your FC ASAP. All right, especially if your FC does not have the contact of your family members, right? Because your FC will not know if you have passed away. The insurer also will not know that you have passed away, right? And your FC maybe once every year they do an annual review, they call you, maybe you never reply, and then your FC think, okay, maybe just very busy or don't want to meet this year. Okay, then next year call again. By the time next year call again, then maybe too late already. 2 years have passed upon the passing, and no one knows that you have insurance with a certain company, right? Your FC also don't know that you are already gone. Only 2 years later, then you will know. So of course, it's then good to tell your friends that yes, you're protected, get them to witness that you're protected. And then the thing is that your FC can also contact your friends to make sure that they have, and you are still around at least, right? You are still fine, right? And at the same time, also really, really, it's very important to have your friends protected as well, so that you see, insurance, you have benefited your friends by not being a burden to them, right? If something happens to you, you have enough money, you do not need to borrow money from them. So it's good also that your friends have that same responsibility as you to get protected and to not then burden you with their finances. Imagine one day a friend comes to you and say, hey, I need to borrow $50,000 because I got a critical illness. Then what do, right? It's very difficult to say no, right? So to prevent that from happening, introduce your friends to your financial consultants. And of course, the last thing here will be reduce family disputes, okay? Whatever percentage or proportions that you have set in nominations, okay, this is final and it cannot be contested, all right? Wills and intestacy, I mean, of course, intestacy, anyone can just contest and you just follow, with Singapore laws. For wills, people can, still say, hey, maybe you have mental disorder when you created a will, and the will is invalid, or they will just have, a fight out with that will, right? So it's very difficult to really have it. And let's say you want to leave money to somebody, right, that you not blood related to you. I actually learned this from a client, and this is the idea that I have from him, is that he, kind of have a non-blood related um person or beneficiary that he wants to leave his money to, not a mistress, okay? He's a nice guy, very, very clean as well, okay? But generally he wants to leave money for someone who is not blood related, okay? And the idea here is that he doesn't want his family members to know, because upon passing, the will be reviewed to your family members, when it will also be under the registry of wills. Anyone can look at that will, right? So you do not want any disputes or fighting because of this, or for them to find this beneficiary that you do not want to, it's not blood related to you. So one way to do so is through insurance nomination. You can actually buy, let's say, $1 million term plan, and then upon passing, this 1 million goes straight away to that a beneficiary. Yeah, so there's one way that we can reduce family disputes. So what actually happens after passing, all right, after death? So first of all, okay, we create our estate, right? This estate will be created. And if it's through testacy, right, which is through a will, if you do have a will, the money from your insurance payout goes into your estate, and it gets distributed by the will. All right. So whatever percentage that you have set for cash, right, specifically for cash, then it will be distributed in that way. All right. So of course, a will also need to take some time lah, about maybe 3 months to really like sell all your house, sell don't know what other assets, and then gather all the money and then distribute, right? So it is still going to be a long process, and the money will not be released straight away. All right. At the same time, if we are gone without a will, it's even worse. It's intestacy, so it has to follow intestacy laws, right? Spouse definitely have the first dibs on the money, then followed by children, then parents, and so on and so forth. Okay. So yeah, at the same time, yes, very, very long waiting period. In fact, much longer when you than having a will, okay, for sure. Because everybody had to come forward to claim, right? So the court will have to really wait out until people really no one come and claim. Yeah. So how long will that be? I'm not too sure. Right? And obviously can be contested. Of course, the last thing here, right? The next option we have is nomination for insurance policies. So whatever beneficiaries that you list in your nomination form, okay, they will just distribute like that to surviving beneficiaries lah. Okay, so that's at least maybe one thing that you might want to consider: surviving beneficiaries. You do not need any blood ties at all. There's only a 14 days waiting period, or not say waiting period, but more like administrative period, right, to issue the claim. And then of course it cannot be contested, right? No matter what people say, it does not, it is not up for contesting now, right? So it then supersedes your will. Whatever insurance payout that you have that you don't want to split by nomination, it will definitely ignore the will. It will just bypass the will. So nomination is only available for CPF and insurance sum assurance. Some features on nomination here. Okay. First of all, we need 2 witnesses. So these are non-beneficiaries. They cannot be receivers of your wealth, all right, or your insurance payout. So this is to make sure that they are, free of conflict of interest. And for these witnesses, they do not have any obligation or liability, all right? They are just there to see you sign a form, just to make sure that you are in the right state of mind to sign the form, to really distribute your sum assureds, all right? So of course, it's good to have 2 close friends to come along this nomination, all right, process, so that they can at least update your FC if something really happens to you, right? But of course, if it's really very difficult to find 2 witnesses to get together, then yeah, you can just ask your FC for other alternative arrangements lah. All right. Of course, it is also non-disputable. All right. The moment the death cert is out, okay, and given to your FC, and then the FC will just let it get processed, and all the money just sent towards your nominees. All right. So very, very fast. And of course, at the same time, it's also revocable. Let's say if your relationship with one of the beneficiaries has changed or become sour, then yes, you can anytime change your form, your distribution. All right. So some people they are quite against nomination. They are just lazy to do it, or for whatever reason they just don't want to do a nomination. very commonly, right, I hear that, oh, it's so troublesome to find, two friends, very, very hard. But I mean, a lot of times for dinner outings, you have two or more friends lah. So is it very, very difficult? I probably don't think so, right? So maybe, for a while, you can just invite your FC along and then just, sign the form and introduce your friends to your FC, all right? And then, your friends may also feel, quite appreciated that, hey, I have not done nominations for my own insurance policies, and your agent is helping you with that. So yeah, thanks for reminding me that nominations is really very important, right? So on one hand, you do also benefit your friends, or best still, if they do not have any insurance themselves, it's time to get them covered, right? So this is really quite useful, for everybody lah. So a lot of times people also say, hey, I'm okay with the idea of intestacy, all right? And I am all right, I don't have much assets, I don't need to care, right? But the thing is that you see, all these things need time. And upon passing, right, sometimes if there's a lot of debt around, right, you want to pay off the debt ASAP. So you need the insurance payout to be very liquid, all right, to then pay off whatever debt. Because upon passing, you are not the one in trouble. You're not the one having financial difficulties. It's the people around you, your family members that are facing all the costs and burden that you have left behind. So that's why it's important to get them the money ASAP. All right. So, relieve your family members of this financial burden. And at the same time, also, what if people, right, around you, they are related and they, come and dispute for your assets, they fight over your assets. For example, some people, let's say maybe parents, right? Let's say parents, and you have a few children, for example. Some children, I mean, maybe child A, right, takes care of you, pays your bills and everything else, right? And then child B really don't care about anything, all right? They still do care, right, for parents, but they don't contribute any single thing. Now, is it fair if it's 50-50, right? Maybe you want to give a little bit more to, compensate his time, to remunerate his time and also his money that he has spent, right? It's only fair to do so, right? So that's one way that nominations do help. And some people are okay with that distribution, all right? But then the thing is that also do consider, all right, some other scenarios. For example, if you are married, right, with a child and your parents are still around, upon passing intestacy, right, means that your parents do not get a single cent. And a lot of times, upon passing, your wife or your spouse maybe will get remarried. Then your money is totally gone. Then how? Yeah. So many things that we do not really think of, and it's best that you speak to your FC to really understand what are the rules and how everything will play out. All right, so that comes to the end of my sharing on nominations, and I hope that you feel that nominations is important now. So quickly get your FC to do one form for you right now.